Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. This is Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things right through a common sense lens. And it's one of them situations where if you hadn't heard, Doctor Who had a little bit of a season finale over the weekend. And needless to say, the ending of that season and Ncuti Gatwa's regeneration into the new Doctor, maybe, needless to say, has fans rather divided. If you didn't think the season had fans divided enough as is, based on how abysmally bad the ratings were, well, needless to say, ladies and gentlemen, this new regeneration, this new introduction of classic character and beloved fan favorite Billie Piper back into Doctor Who has a lot of fans questioning what is going on. And of course, all of the spin is going on out there with, of course, Ncuti Gatwa leaving out there and everybody saying, well, of course, this was always planned. This was always the intent, yada, yada, yada. I'm sure it has nothing to do with the abysmal ratings or any of that kind of stuff going on, or the fact that Disney's most likely backing out of funding Who. I'm sure all of that has absolutely nothing to do with that. And I'm sure if this show was if this show was a banging success and an absolute ratings insanity, absolute success, I'm sure everybody would still be leaving exactly as planned. Now, wouldn't they, boys and girls? Well, of course, ladies and gentlemen, needless to say, whatever your opinion is on that, this is what happened, and it has the internet very, very, very divided, ladies and gentlemen, because as you can see, Doctor Who no more. Ncuti Gatwa regenerates in season 2 finale. Yes, boys and girls, just 2 seasons for Ncuti Gatwa in Disney's Doctor Who after literally one of the shortest runs we've seen in the modern era out there. So I'm sure that has nothing to do with the abysmal ratings in any way, shape, or form. But it's really funny when we get into some of Ncuti's final goodbye words out there. Some of the excuses he brings up as to why he is leaving literally make no sense in any way, shape, or form, considering all of the actors that have played the Doctor in the past. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we'll get into all of our speculation as to whether or not Billie Piper will actually regenerate as the Doctor, and some of our evidence as to why we think one way or the other. So we're going to get into all of the juicy details, show you exactly what's going on, and of course show you the introduction of Billie Piper back into Doctor Who. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing, we are inching our way closer and closer to 2K. We're like 3 or 4 subscribers away from it, so please smash that subscribe button down below. And if you also let us know what you think about all this in the comment section down below. Does it surprise you at all that Disney Doctor Who is bringing back Billie Piper? Do you think this is a desperate attempt to bring fans back in after such abysmal ratings? Or do you think this was the plan right from the get-go to try to use more nostalgia bait to continue the series going forward to hopefully sell it off to other people out there? Let us know what you think about all that in the comment section down below. Also, let us know if you enjoyed Ncuti Gatwa's time as the Doctor, or you like many other of the fans that have completely and totally checked out based on the ratings. Let us know what you think about all that in the comment section down below. If you'd like to support the channel, please check out links in the description as well. All right, from CosmicBook.News and our dear sweet Matt McGloin. Confirming all the rumors, Ncuti Gatwa is indeed done as Doctor Who, with the last episode of Season 2 having recently aired, which also showed a regeneration scene. Regarding what went down in the final episode, titled The Reality War, Gatwa's doctor sacrifices himself to save baby Poppy, the daughter of companion Belinda, Verity Sooth. As he dies, his body starts to regenerate into a glowing golden energy, only regenerate into her rose. Her first words, "Oh, hello," and we've got that right over here. We don't need to show the whole thing because we'll probably end up getting copyright claimed or something like that, but we're going to go check this out over here real quick from Twitter. As you can see here, you've got the regeneration. We'll go ahead and mute it right here. And there's actually, like, from BBC themselves, they released like his whole like final end, like him saying goodbye to the North Star and like all of this kind of stuff. And obviously you can see this is from somebody watching this live, their own screening. But this is the thing. As you can see, Ncuti Gatwa is gone. You can see the lovely and beautiful Billie Piper coming back. And of course, her little hello right here.
What the fuck?
Oh, they didn't even muted that part. She goes, "Oh, hello," just in that wonderful little cute voice she has. But this is one of the reasons why I pulled this clip up and saved this one specifically versus the one from Doctor Who. Because as you can see, this is where things and some of the speculation and then some of the fan speculation of there goes. Because as you can see, you've got Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor, Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, and then this is where things get kind of introduced. In introducing Billie Piper. Now, I, for one, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, have been a fan long enough to remember back when they introduced the War Doctor, right? When they introduced John Hurt as the War Doctor. Now, they say just saying introducing Billie Piper. Now, this is very similar to the way they introduced the War Doctor. The only difference is it said specifically John Hurt as the War Doctor, ladies and gentlemen. So that's a little bit different. Me thinks Billie Piper might not necessarily be the Doctor per se, which of course would just give us another female Doctor Who, and we saw how well that worked out under Chris Chibnall. So it's one of them situations where literally this is something very similar. Now, me personally, I think this is more nostalgia bait. I think this is BBC's desperate attempt to literally go out there and try to get some of this stuff done, try to get more people to go out there and invest it, since we know that the Disney money has, of course, dried up. Has literally dried up. So it'll be very interesting to see what ends up going on with all of this kind of stuff going forward. So it's literally a situation where you can go back there and watch the regeneration. But this is another one of them situations where this seems like a lot of nonsense and a lot of BS to me out there. Because in the behind the scenes featurette released on Saturday, Gatwa says his exit was always planned. Oh, really? I'm sure if the show was a resounding success, Gatwa would have definitely stuck around. But here's his kind of interesting situation. Now, mind you, we'll get into how old he is here in just a second. It was always the plan to do this amount of seasons because it's a role that demands a lot of you, physically, emotionally, and mentally. The actors playing the Doctor are only actors playing the Doctor. Unfortunately, we are mere mortals. I would love to have the energy and the youth to be able to do this full time for the rest of my life. But my knees are telling me it's time. Now, Ncuti Gatwa was born in 1992. We did a little math real quick and figured out he's about 33. So this guy in his early 30s is complaining he doesn't have the energy or physical capability to play the Doctor anymore. Now, if I don't know about all of you guys out there, but of course, our original William Hartnell, who played the original Doctor out there, me thinks he was a little bit older than his early 30s. If our research looks out correctly, he was somewhere in his 50s, somewhere around 55. Of course, correct me in the comments if we're wrong as to what his actual age was. But William Hartnell, now given, okay, maybe there wasn't as much running, as much of all of that kind of nonsense hadn't been introduced into Doctor Who at that time. But if you go back and watch those classic episodes, they are definitely out there running around a whole lot. But a 33-year-old actor is saying the reason why he wants to leave Doctor Who is because his knees couldn't handle it. I don't know. Tell that to, I don't know, Peter Capaldi or anybody else that played the Doctor that was old. I mean, David Tennant was older when he started as the Doctor. I mean, Christopher Eccleston had to have been in at least his late 30s, if not early 40s at that point, and they ran a lot. That's when the whole idea of Rose, run, just run. That's when all of that stuff was introduced. And you're saying Ncuti Gatwa's knees can't handle Doctor Who anymore? Come on, boys and girls. Considering Ncuti Gatwa's personal life, I'm sure his knees work just fine. I mean, who knows? Not that I know of anything, but who knows? Chris Chibnall can probably verify that as well. So they just go on all of that kind of stuff. The journey I'll never forget. It was so happy. Eventually you have to hand the screwdriver back. Yada, yada, yada. This is something that I thought was funny, though, too. The fans are truly the final character and beating heart of this show, and I can't thank the Whoviverse and the Whovians enough for welcoming me in. Oh, all of those Whovians that Russell T Davies writing and letting you be as flamboyantly gay as possible as a Doctor drove off. You mean the worst ratings in the 60-year history of this show? Those Whovians? Yeah, needless to say, I don't think they really welcomed you so much with the open arms as the media spin that you're getting paid to put out there actually says. Of course, Russell T Davies talks about this. What a wonderful joy. Yada, yada, yada. All of that other kind of nonsense. When Ncuti Gatwa first stepped on on the TARDIS, we instantly knew he was going to be an iconic Doctor as long as the rest of it. Yada, yada, yada. And his final words say, it's been an absolute joy. And the team of Cardiff and everyone who's worked with the show for the past few years are so lucky to have been part of Ncuti's great adventure as he shoots off to the stratospheric new heights, says Russell T. Davies. Needless to say, yada, 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 yada. But this is one of the things, this is Billie Piper's reaction, right? Which once again, I know a lot of fans out there are assuming that she's going to be the Doctor. Even Grums, that clip that we had from him earlier, that's what everybody's assuming, she's the Doctor. But this is why I don't think it's that exactly kind of situation, why I think this is more a marketing ploy than her actually being the Doctor. Because this is Billie Piper's reaction. It's no secret how much I love this show, and I've always said I would love to return to the Whoniverse, as have some of my best memories there. So to be given the opportunity to step back on that TARDIS one more time was just something I couldn't refuse. But who, how, why, and when, you'll just have to wait and see. So even then, once again, she's not going to be the Doctor. They're not confirming that, like we've seen them confirm in every single version going back in the past, as long as they'd cast the post regeneration, right? As long as they had the new Doctor cast, we had seen this happen. We'd seen them introduce this. This has been a tradition in all of New Who, right? Introducing X, Y, and Z, introducing Matt Smith as the Doctor, introducing David Tennant as the Doctor, introducing Peter Capaldi as the Doctor, and introducing Dr. Karen as the Doctor. Like, this has always been the thing after every single regeneration. That's why I don't think Billie Piper's coming back as a new female version of the Doctor. I think this is a marketing ploy, and because the BBC isn't admitting as to who her character is actually going to be, I do honestly believe this is nothing more than a marketing ploy, because they know Disney is backing out and is not going to pay the bills and continue to foot $100 million for this show going forward. So the BBC is going to have to find some other sap out there to help front the bills for this show. That's what I think this is. I think all this is a marketing ploy. And shout out to Billie Piper. You got paid, darling. I ain't got no hate against you at all. We loved you all as Rose Tyler, right? But it's one of them situations we have seen this consistently through this second season of Russell T. Davies' Disney Doctor Who, Disney's Neo Doctor Who, because it has been nostalgia bait after nostalgia bait. They brought back the Ronin. They brought back all this other kind of nonsense from classic Who, even though they had said time and time again that that's not what this was going to be about. That it wasn't going to be about nostalgia bait. This was going to be a new version of Doctor Who going forward. Hell, even IMDb set up Disney Doctor Who as a season 1. It wasn't even a continuation of Chris Chibnall's Dr. Karen. They literally started fresh, yet consistently, over and over and over again, right from the 60th anniversary anthology series that they did, bringing in the Toy Maker, a character from way back in classic Who. That's all this has been. They know they don't have any writing. It's all been member berries nonstop over and over again. And it's not going to work, because anybody, dude, I pray for anybody's wisdom out there that decides to look at Neo Disney Doctor Who under Russell T. Davies, the BBC, and with Ncuti Gatwa and everybody else involved, and take one look at those ratings and not go, there's no way I'm funding this. If you are really fooled by this marketing ploy of bringing Billie Piper back and hinting that she may or may not be the new Doctor, well, then I've got some oceanfront property in Arizona to sell you, because this has been abysmally bad. Right? The Doctor Who current seasons have been the worst seasons for the ratings in Doctor Who's 60th year history. That is what is produced. So is Ncuti Gatwa leaving because his knees hurt? Because he doesn't have the energy? He's not as youthful to play the Doctor anymore? No, that's the biggest nonsense excuse that we have ever heard from any actor out there. It's completely total spin. It's complete and total BS. Ncuti Gatwa is one of the youngest actors to ever play the Doctor in its 60th year anniversary, 60th year history. And you're going to tell me he can't handle the physicality of it anymore? I mean, this guy's in incredible shape. Have you seen the very flamboyant pictures of him and Russell T. Davies on the red carpet together? I mean, the dude is jacked. And his knees can't handle all the running anymore? Yeah, boys and girls, me thinks this is some nonsense out there. One other thing that I wanted to cover over here, though, that Fandom Pulse brings in here is the full 20 minutes they spent on this regeneration scene. 20 minutes. They spent the last 20 minutes of this episode over there. And for all of you out there that actually like good Doctor Who, make sure you join myself, Mr. Grant Gregory, and the beautiful Sunker Maiden on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. when we review When Who Was Actually Good. We've got the season finale coming up for our season finale coming up for Series 9 with our dear sweet Peter Capaldi, and I've got some special guests showing up. It's going to be a blast. Make sure you join us next Sunday. Hit that notification bell down below so you don't miss a thing. It's going to be an absolute blast. It's going to be a really good time, and we get one of the best Peter Capaldi, if not arguably one of the best modern Doctor Who era episodes ever coming up. So make sure you guys join us for that on Sunday nights. So it's one of them situations where this is absolutely great as well. I want to get down to this as well, right? And because Fandom Pulse was right about this. Fandom Pulse was right about Billie Piper coming back. They had reported about this early on. It was something that I didn't even make a video about, but I talked about on my live streams that we do Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time because I'd heard about this, but I was like, there's no way. Even I, a guy that covers rumor mill stuff all the time, there was no way I believe that they were really going to bring Billie Piper back. They were not going to bring Rose Tyler back. And boy, was I wrong. They literally had the Black Doctor regenerate into Rose Tyler, or into at least a version of Rose Tyler, actress Billie Piper. Anyway, although considering the hairstyle, she definitely looks a bit more like her Bad Wolf form versus the Rose Tyler we last saw in Doctor Who. Interesting way it goes, though. But this is where I thought was interesting. The regeneration scene, of which there were two in a 20-minute tacked-on ending that felt very strange, first featured Jodie Whittaker, a.k.a. Dr. Karen, showing up and assisting the Doctor by encouraging him. It gives the meta commentary to the fans again, where Gatwa proclaims he's the best Doctor, and Whittaker corrects him by saying, best male Doctor, implying she was somehow better. Well, I mean, based on ratings alone, there's certainly an argument to be made that she was better than Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor. But literally, I love how this is described. This is a moment of woke solidarity where the female feminist and the BIPOC homosexual characters bond together in a moment that makes no sense given the rules of time travel established by the show multiple times. Yeah, it's supposed to be a big, major event in order to have another Doctor come back and interact with the current iteration. Like, it's a massive, massive event. There's got to be some kind of crazy universal doing this. No. It's just we wanted to make sure that everybody knew that all of our agenda-driven doctors and all of our diversity-hired doctors, we wanted to make sure that we reiterated to the audience that they're the bestest ever and that you should love them and that you should, if you don't like them, you're just an ist or a phobe, because we have to be repeatedly told over and over and over again that these people are the best characters introduced to Doctor Who ever, right? Because anybody with half a brain knows that's not true. You can look at the ratings and make that sure that that's very obviously true. So, I mean, like, it's just literally, they couldn't even stop themselves. Even at the end of the regeneration, they could not stop themselves other than to make sure they did this nonsense once again. And that's the reason why this show has turned into absolute dumpster fire. That's the reason why these are the worst ratings at the end of the year ever. You know, and bringing Billie Piper back is not going to make a difference. Right? I love Billie Piper. She's great. She's been nothing but kind to the Doctor Who fandom. She seems to love Doctor Who. She seems to love us. And I don't blame her for taking a paycheck and wanting to come back into a universe that she absolutely loves. I've never heard about her politics. Honestly, don't care. I hope I never know about them. She's been good to the fans, and that's all that matters to me, right? That's what's important to us. So I'm glad to see her back. Do I think she's going to be the next Doctor? No. Do I think this is nothing more than a marketing scam in order for BBC to try to convince some other idiot out there in the world to help fund them and keep this show going because BBC considers it one of their high priority, high value IPs? Probably. I think that's all this ever has been. I think that's all it is. Disney Neo Doctor Who was nothing more than pushing identity politics. Russell T Davies himself told us that several times, that despite the ratings, despite the criticisms, he was going to use Doctor Who as a force to push his personal agenda. And that personal agenda mattered more to him than actually giving us good quality Doctor Who, good quality, I don't know, wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey adventures in all of space and time. Like, God forbid we do something like that. No, it's been identity politics. It's been a complete and total change of form. And now in a desperate attempt to recover some kind of relevance out there in the cultural zeitgeist, BBC decided to reintroduce an absolute fan favorite character with Billie Piper. And she is a fan favorite, and she always will be. But BBC, Disney Neo Doctor Who, you already tried this trick once with David Tennant, and it blew up in your faces, and you destroyed the character of the Doctor played by David Tennant. because you turn him into nothing more than a vehicle for your agenda, pushing all of your nonsense and your garbage, and you talk down to him, and you disrespected his doctor because he was a male, all for your agenda-driven BS. Boy, if that's what they did to David Tennant, I could only imagine the destruction they will do to the wonderful, fabulous character that is Rose Tyler, played by Billie Piper. Because boys and girls, unless something drastically changes behind the scenes at the BBC, which I see no signs of that happening ever, Neo Doctor Who will continue to be nothing more than propaganda for the spirit of the age and the agenda that the BBC wants to continue to push. That's all the last 2 seasons have been, and if they're successful to keep this show going forward, more than likely it's going to get canned for a while. If they're successful with convincing some idiot out there to continue funding this, the ratings will continue to go downhill over and over and over again. Bringing Billie Piper back is nothing more than a desperate attempt at some kind of relevance in the cultural zeitgeist. Guess what? It's way too little, way too late, BBC. You decided to get in bed with the devil, you decided to follow the spirit of the age, and now you are getting exactly what you deserve. The current iteration of Doctor Who is the worst we have seen in its 60-year history, and no amount of nostalgia bait will fix that. At the end of the day, Russell T Davies, BBC, and Disney, you have destroyed Doctor Who beyond any realm of possibility that anybody thought you could pull off. And now your desperation is showing once again. Bringing Billie Piper back will not save you, woke Doctor Who, but by all means, it sure will be funny for the rest of us to laugh and make fun of you as this show continues to burn down. After all, you get exactly what you deserve.